Tom, we're here at the conference. Today is the last day, no matter what. But inside, still a lot of problems. And proof of that is instead of a consensus, they're actually looking at taking a vote. Tell us what that means.
It means a lot. In the United Nations process, consensus is very important. And consensus has been particularly important to the United States. If there is a vote today, the United States will be placed in a very peculiar position. It would probably be on the winning side of that vote because the people that seem to be hanging it up right now are Iran. But they don't want to establish the precedent of having voted and having allowed the conference to vote, because the next time that happened, the United States would probably be on the losing side. So they don't want to vote, yet at the same time they don't want to concede certain points to Iran. What I've been told is that there have been several compromises made, but every time a compromise is made, Iran and Egypt want more. So that's what the situation is right now. We have no resolution. The POA at this time looks fairly innocuous. There's nothing really blatant in it that would be a red flag for us at this moment. But apparently Egypt and Iran want more in it.
You know, it's a strange thing to say the winning side with Iran, knowing what we know about Iran. But is that because when you see the fact that they're pushed to take a vote, that the whole future of the POA is really at stake?
The future of the POA could indeed be at stake, because if they did take a vote and the United States didn't participate, that essentially would mean that the POA is on its way out. Again, that's what I've been told. Who knows, at the UN something might be resurrected. But one of the things that makes this complex is that they tend to mix in other political issues. For instance, when we were here for the ATT, they spent 3 days on where Palestine was going to sit. And that issue has raised its head here too. So
a lot of things outside what they say this is all about, and that is to stop the illicit trade of firearms.
That's right.
So they're way outside that scope, so to speak.
That's right. And then Iran and Cuba tried to bring back into the POA the issue of civilian possession of firearms. That was rejected. The United States got that language out, or was never allowed in, so that they won that battle again. But these other battles tend to emerge.
And you know, it was interesting because earlier in the week you made very clear, and you looked at the crowd and you said, you know, I'm looking at all of you as participants, and you're all very good speakers, but you're not very good listeners. Do you think that still applies? Is anybody in there really listening?
That's a good question. I was just talking to a member of the Australian delegation about the Arms Trade Treaty, and I told this person that if the Arms Trade Treaty, if you wanted it to have a chance, you've got to exclude civilian firearms from the Arms Trade Treaty. And she said, well, it's never intended to cover civilian firearms. And I said, well, then why doesn't it say that? Yeah. So suddenly we were back into the battle we fought all of July.
So let's say what happens later today with the POA, will that determine whether they have what they've been talking about all this time, all these past couple of weeks, for having more meetings all the way up to 2018?
I think there will be more meetings, and if there's anything the UN likes, it's meetings. Now they're talking about meetings in 2015, 2016, 2014, and 2018. 2 biennial meetings, a group of experts meeting, and then another huge conference in 2018. That's 6 years away.
Right. And although you said right now you're not concerned about what is in the program of action right now, that doesn't mean that as they say, we've got plenty of time to do what we need to do. That over that course of years, they could continue to do what they want to do, and that is erode our firearm freedoms.
Let me make things clear. I'm always concerned about what's in any okay. UN document. But at the same time, something that bothers me, and that is that it goes back to the speech I made 2 weeks ago, that the UN refuses to acknowledge the legitimacy of civilian firearms ownership. This whole thing is predicated upon the idea that that's bad, and they need to correct, as I said, correct that fundamental error.
And Tom, while we've been here at this conference, there are actually side meetings going on inside the UN to talk about moving forward with the Arms Trade Treaty.
That's correct. The Arms Trade Treaty was discussed on the side frequently here. It's been an underlying topic. People are getting ready for the next round. We've been informed that they'll probably discuss it the week of October 22nd. NGO statements will be October 29th. supporting what we're told today.
So as far as you know, what's going on inside that room right now, why do gun owners, people concerned about their firearm freedoms, need to be concerned about this program of action wrapping up today?
They need to be concerned about it because it is a broad-based, long-term effort to change something that is fundamental to our freedoms. There is going to be an inevitable conflict between the United Nations and U.S. gun owners because of the Second Amendment. That's just going to eventually happen.
But still in there, they're talking about tracings, markings, registration system. That's still in the program of action, isn't it?
They're record-keeping systems. You don't like the word
registration.
You don't like the word registration. Yes, it's still in the program of action, but we're not opposed to marking of firearms. That's U.S. law. That's accepted. We aren't opposed to an efficient system that traces guns used in crimes. We are opposed to registration.
And opposed to what they want to do and basically make a database that's international. They want everybody in there.
They would love to have that.
They want to know who owns what.
They would love to have that. They would love to have that, and that's always lurking in the background. You've always got to be very suspicious of anything they do. Again, that just illustrates how important it is to be vigilant.
And that's why you have Canada here, for example, very supportive of what we're doing because they realize what's at stake for their sportsmen and their sportswomen and their hunters.
That's right. Steve Torino of the Canadian Association is a member of their delegation. He's been a good source. The Canadians have been very supportive.
Okay. So, we will know later today about a vote or no vote consensus. You don't know at this point.
We don't know at this point. She adjourned the meeting to 11:45, nothing happened. It's almost 12:45 now. I don't know what's happening. We're outside. We'll have to go back in. It could eventually be resolved later this morning, or it could be resolved sometime around 6, or they could go into the evening. So we just don't know.
But let's make one thing clear. Our firearm freedoms, our right to self-defense, still much a threat because of what's going on at the UN.
Always a threat, always a threat.
Let me ask you too, when you look at President Obama speaking last night, rallying those people at the convention, what's your concern, knowing what you know about this president and how he supports what goes on at the UN if he gets 4 more years?
Well, my concern is that the administration will change its view after the election. The administration has not made it a priority and has been fairly good, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. The administration was pretty supportive during ATT.
You mean the delegation?
Yeah, the delegation. But at the same time, that may change after the election.